Representative Dejarlais, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be your 205 butthole guest.
So I'm not going to scream and yell at you about your yay vote until I figure out why you made the yay vote. Okay. I have great concern about the NDAA. I know that you probably did as well, knowing you as well as I do. But when I saw your name on the list of yay votes, I thought, well, let's get Scott on and allow him to help us understand a little better why it was necessary. So I'm going to give you the floor and let you explain your decision to vote yay on this.
Yeah, it was a tough vote because everything you hate about it, I hate about it. There's, a lot of issues, social issues that pollute these defense authorization bills and make it very hard for we conservatives to swallow. But as a member of the Armed Services Committee, I sit through classified briefings week after week, and frankly, what we're seeing with all the fires around the world scares the hell out of me. And so my number one job as Tennessee's only HASC member now is to keep our military funded, functioning, and lethal. And so that's my top priority. We had a really good House bill that we passed out with, good measures that passed 59-1, and not surprisingly, it goes over to the Senate. Schumer gets a hold of it, starts stripping things out. That happens every year. We didn't have any red flag laws in there this year. No draft your daughters, things that we fought in past years to keep out. We got some COVID restitutions in there. Well, one thing that was huge for me was we were able to kind of strip a lot of the DEI stuff, and they were promoting people based on checking some diversity box, and so we were able to remove that, and it's merit-based again, and that's really important in terms of troop morale. So, you're probably like everyone else, and me too. I saw all the check boxes going around about the things we had and then the things we didn't get. And, it's easy as conservative Republicans to focus on everything we didn't get and, not be proud of some of the things we did. But bottom line is, we got to keep our military funded. And, I talked to a lot of active duty military people, and it's interesting. They don't like a lot of these social issues either. I mean, we shouldn't pay for a single sex transition surgery. Absolutely ridiculous. We shouldn't pay for travel funding for abortion.
You just voted to do that.
I voted to do a lot of things. It's a big bill, and
I just need to note. I don't mean to interrupt your explanation, but I mean the bill continues to allow for taxpayer funded transition, right? Transgender services.
Yeah. And what the military guys that I talked to said, all these things that we focus on as Republicans and try to remove, it's important, but it doesn't affect them in their day-to-day operations the way we think it does. What they care about, they want their pay raise, which we had a record pay raise, 5.2%, not enough considering the inflation, but it helps them. They care about having good equipment, and they care about us not getting them killed in some meaningless war. So that's their priorities. And, we'll continue to work on all these things we didn't get. And I promise all the things that Heritage scored against. I had a 100% score with Heritage. I guess I'm going to be a 98 now. But I feel it's my responsibility. Apparently, both of our senators, Haggerty and Blackburn, did as well. They voted for this. The Senate passed at 87-13. The House passed at 300 and something to 100. It's, again, as Republicans, we can continue to focus on what we don't get and tell the world how bad we suck, but that doesn't help us going into 2024.
Well, there's a long list, Scott, of things that I have concern with about the legislation. I mean, obviously, it's an almost $1 trillion package. It's $886 billion. The main issue that I have is that we're spending money that we don't have, right? I mean, with every authorization that you guys vote on, without considering the fact that we're $34 trillion in debt, you are moving us closer to ceasing to exist as a country. So you can talk all you want about readying the military or preparing the military, but if you don't consider that we are $34 trillion in debt in every single thing you do, then you're moving us closer to not existing as a country, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I do worry about that every single day, and you're not wrong. I'm not arguing with you. We agree probably on every point that you don't like, but bottom line is we have to have a military that functions. We have readiness issues. We have recruitment issues, and it is too much money. I think we had a bill to audit the DOD a few years back. because I think they waste money. But our number one priority, in my mind, as a government, is to provide for a strong national defense. So that's important. I'm guessing you would have voted no. I mean, I'd love to throw back. You're not in the job that I'm in, but what would you have done different? Would you have voted no? And if you voted no, how would you fix it?
I would demand that the Republican majority in the House of Representatives stay in Washington, D.C. until we get southern border security as a condition of my yes vote.
Yeah, I mean, that's mind-boggling to me that the biggest threat we face right now is our southern border. And
did you as a representative demand that you stay in Washington, D.C. Could Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, not have kept the House of Representatives in session? Yes or no?
Okay. All right. He can, and we may go back next week and have a vote on this, but it's probably going to be a watered-down, crappy bill they're negotiating over in the Senate, and they're wanting to get
excuse me, Scott, like this watered-down, crappy bill that you just voted yes on? I mean, tell me, you want to talk about the concessions that Republicans had to make and us focusing on the negative. Tell me the positives. Tell me what we got out of this legislation that Democrats didn't want, that they didn't want in the bill, that you got in the bill and stayed in the bill.
Well, if you want to talk about nitpicky things like, they can't fly their LBGT or Black Lives Matter flags, that's in there. We did block a lot of climate change things.
Did you vote? Did you vote funding on abortion travel? Is that in the bill?
That was in the bill.
So we're still funding abortion travel.
Yes, and it shouldn't be in there because of the Hyde Amendment.
So you couldn't even get that big piece. I mean, is that not a big piece to you?
It is a big piece. I told you I agree with everything you said, but we still have to fund our military. We look at our Republican majority, Matt. We've got about a 3-seat majority. No, you need to look at it because you're acting like we can move heaven and earth. We've got the House majority, and it doesn't even function because there's 5 or 6 people that can't work together as a team. We had 8 Republicans.
Y'all worked together yesterday. Hold on, Scott. Y'all worked together yesterday. You voted unanimously on the impeachment inquiry. How in the world can you vote on that and work unanimously together on that, and you can't manage to stop government funding of abortions through the military?
Yeah, well, okay. We don't have the Senate. We don't have the White House, and that drives a lot of things. Mike Johnson, who is basically our third-string quarterback, because 8 guys along with 208 Democrats sacked our starting quarterback. You may not love Kevin McCarthy, but I'll guarantee he was a better negotiator. So we go in there. Mike Johnson's up against Chuck Schumer, really Mitch McConnell, Hakeem Jeffries, and Joe Biden, and somehow you expect us to win. We got what we can get. We're going to go into this process again. We'll start debating the next NDA in about 3 months. We will try to get rid of all those things. But in the meantime, like I said, how many military guys did you talk to and ask them what their opinion was? I know the conservative discussions because I've been one of those guys for 13 years.
I'm not a conservative,
out of 100
Scott.
times.
I'm not a conservative, Scott. Thank you.
You're a libertarian.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
But, okay, what are you?
I'm a libertarian.
Okay, well, that's fine. You can be a libertarian. But the bottom line is...
thank you. I'm glad that I have your permission. Go ahead, please.
Well, I'm a butthole, so,
I predicted what you're saying. I predicted it last hour, Scott, that you whine and complain about not having the majorities that you need to do the things that you claim to want to do. I've heard this for 25 years. If Republicans have the House, they need the Senate. If they have the Senate, they need the White House. If they have all 3, they need a supermajority in the Senate. Otherwise, Democrats filibuster. We continue to lose, and you guys continue to excuse the losing by saying that we're not doing our job sending more Republicans to Washington, D.C., yet Republicans that we send there continuously lose. It ticks me off, Scott.
Well, and we beat each other up. A Democrat passed this bill, they brag all day long about how good it is. We can find the negative in everything. We did some good things in this bill, and I can make you out a list, but you probably won't read it on the air. I will give you unfettered access to the airwaves to tell me, list off the good that this bill does. Okay, and I will do that. I'll get you that list because I know we don't have time to.
You don't have it. Excuse me. I'm giving you the airtime right now to do it right now.
Okay, we got a 5.2% pay raise for our troops. Promotions are going to be based on merit rather than diversity, equity, inclusion things. Several other diversity, equity, inclusions that decreases morale. How do you like to be? My son went to the Naval Academy. Probably 16 leadership roles, 15 out of 16 went to somebody because they checked a diversity box. That's demoralizing. That was huge to get rid of that. We got some COVID restitution back in there where people can get back in the military when they chose that they didn't want to get the shot. We got rid of critical race theory in the classrooms. They talk about drag shows. Some argue it's in there, some isn't. I don't think drag shows is a big threat to our national security. We funded all kinds of critical priorities that will help our readiness and help our recruiting. And those are things that matter. And I sit there and do that in committee day in and day in, week in, week out, listen to the briefings, listen to what's going on around the real room. But you'll sit there and armchair quarterback me and not trust my judgment, even though I've been a great conservative. You have me on the show. You asked me to come on today. I knew figuring you'd probably blister me, but here I am. And so you can have the opinions, and I respect those, and I try really hard to help with your libertarian values, you and Tom Massey and others. That's fine. But we did a lot of good things here, and we have limited capability because we don't have a big majority. We lost a lot of seats in this last election because we tried to put two conservative members in swing seats, and it's a fact of life that we have moderates in this country. They're not all like Tennessee. We have districts that are purple states, and we put conservative candidates. Trump put candidates in Georgia and other states that we lost because you didn't look at the realistic situation on the ground. So, I don't think in 13 years I've changed my conservative principles, but you have to change your strategy to get done what you can get done, and it's difficult right now. Well, you see the dysfunction. I'm very frustrated with the dysfunction in Washington too, Matt.
I am too, and I yell at you because you're the only one that I can yell at because you came on. Right. So this is not, and I hope and I think you know this, Scott. This isn't personal against you. I'm frustrated, and I'm taking out my frustration on you, and part of that is because of the yay vote, but I value the fact that you knew we would disagree on this and you still chose to come on. So I want to make sure that everyone hears that and that you hear that, Representative, that I very much value the fact that you're willing to come on and you're willing to have these disagreements, and I don't want to discount that because it is important.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Matt, we're still going to be friends, and I'm not upset at all that we have these tough conversations. That's my job. It's easy. The last 4 years in the minority, we didn't take a tough vote. It's easy to vote no. When you have to vote yes, that's what's tough. Last time I took a tough vote was in March of 2017 when we tanked the Republican health care bill when Trump took office. I lost sleep over that. I had heartburn. Talked to my wife all night. This bill was the same way all weekend. I sat there and went back and forth, and really it was talking to the troops that changed my mind, because they said, we care about those things as civilians, but as soldiers operationally, they don't bother us as much as they do you guys. Get us good equipment, get us paid, and, make sure that you don't put us in a bad situation. So that meant a lot to me, talking to the guys that are actually out there doing this.
Let me get your thought on one or two other things before we have to say goodbye. And once again, Scott Dejarlais is on with us, willing to come on. Knew I disagreed with his yes vote, agreed to come on either way to defend that vote and explain it. How can you justify voting for any piece of legislation that authorizes a surveillance program that was misused by the deep state to spy on a presidential candidate of the United States?
Yeah, well, this is a 4-month extension that never should have happened. It's like there's a save the date for FISA renewal, for Farm Bill renewals, for funding the government. Every year we know this is coming, but our leadership, not all their fault because we wasted a month trying to find a new speaker. This should have been handled. We had 2 bills that went to Rules Committee, one out of Judiciary, passed 35-2, one out of Intel that passed unanimously that were supposed to come to the floor this week, didn't get brought up because of differences within, frankly, our Republican Party and a small group that fight battles that we can't win with the conference that we have. So yeah, there's no excuse for that. And what I want to see, neither of those bills had accountability in there. There's people, the FBI admits that they screwed up, that they cheated, that they broke the law, that they went to FISA courts. I want somebody punished. It's like I want some butts on this one. And, there's no repercussion. How do we have any faith in the DOJ or FBI if these people aren't held accountable? So what we're stuck with now is a 4-month extension that was tagged onto the NDA, had no business being there, but it's this must-pass end-of-the-year incompetence that you talking about all the buttholes in Washington should have never let get to this point, and you're not wrong. And so I'm very frustrated with that, but I'll tell you this, I'd rather have 4 months to get it right than have them cram some 5-year extension of this where we don't have accountability, we don't have guardrails, and they continue to spy on Americans. So, I'm all over this one. I don't like the 4-month extension either. It should have not been attached. But hopefully before April, we'll get this right, and we'll have something where some people have to pay a price for the crimes they committed in the FBI, DOJ. James Comey would be great. There's several others, and let's hope and pray we can get that right.
Scott Dejarlais, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for being willing to come on, and we appreciate you. And we'll talk to you again very soon.
Sounds good, man.
All right, man. Take care. There's Scott Dejarlais. Look, I'm simultaneously frustrated and angered by him, and I appreciate the fact that he's willing to come on. He knew what he was going to get, and he came on anyway. The laundry list of bad does not outweigh the justification that you have to pass this in order to continue to fund the military. To me,